What is up, all you beautiful people? Hey, it's actually not in the teens. 25 degrees in Midland, Michigan. I'm on lunch break, heading out to Home Depot. I need to get one supply. But as I was going out here, I was thinking, what is one thing, regardless of what age you're in, that fears you the most about life? And the reason I ask that is because I'm going to share my biggest fear. My biggest fear in life, and it trickles down to a bunch of different things, but one of my biggest fears in life was the fear of exposure. How stupid is that? Right? The fear of exposure. It sounds silly, right? But it wasn't. I was hyper petrified about the fear of exposure. And because of that, it held me back from a lot of things, right? I didn't play sports. I wanted to play sports, but I didn't want to look bad or be bad, right? Could have been bad at sports. I don't know. I didn't know because I had such a fear of exposure and what others would think, right? That was one of the biggest things that's held me back in my life. And the funny thing is about that is exactly why I started making video content years ago. Years ago, I was talking about completely different things than I'm talking about today, but whatever. And the funny thing is this. Most people don't care how much of a fool you make of yourself. Most people don't. It'll be forgot by tomorrow. Now, it'll maybe even like the attention span today. You know, that's why Reels do so well on social media, because people lose their attention to something and they just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, 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 scroll. And then you ask them what they watched an hour later and they're like, oh, I have no clue. I don't know one thing I just watched. It's the truth, because Patty will tell me, also, what'd you learn that past hour you were scrolling on social media? I'll be like, nothing. What'd you watch? I don't even know. It's kind of funny. So it's kind of funny, the fear of exposure held me back from so much. And nobody really cares. There's some facts that may hurt some people's feelings, but they are indeed facts. There's 400 million people in this country, give or take. This is going to hurt some people's feelings. And, you know, I love all you, right? I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But this is indeed facts. We're not that important. We're not as important as we might think. And what I mean by that is, we're not as important as we might think we are to the rest, compared to the population of the United States. Nobody's thinking of you. Nobody cares if you win. Nobody cares if you fail. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, obviously, you may have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people that care about you, right? But people are going on about their own life. Nobody has time to be sitting down wondering what Justin Stupnicki is going to do today. Everybody's busy with their own life. Like, I think, for whatever odd reason in our head, I've done this too before, fear of exposure. Nobody cared if I made a mistake. Nobody cared if I sucked at basketball or football or whatever sport I was interested in playing, but wouldn't play because I had the fear of exposure, and I just thought I didn't want people to look at me if I sucked, right? The truth is, I think this holds a lot of people back in life from actually going after their dreams. And as you all know, I love talking about going after your dreams, because I believe we are truly living when we're chasing our purpose, when we're chasing our dreams. I believe we kind of merely exist when we're doing the mundane tasks we don't want to do to get the results we really don't want to get, but we got to get some kind of results just to survive in this world. That's just my opinion. Yours may differ 100%, and I'm okay with that, right? Actually, I'm a big, huge supporter of people's different beliefs and opinions. I want to learn about people, right? I'm intuitive. I like to learn about people. But it's so crazy that I don't know where in our minds we think that we're so important, even in our communities, right? We think we're so important in our community, like everybody's watching us. Nobody's watching you. And that isn't to say beat yourself up, nobody loves you. I'm not talking about, obviously, hopefully you have somebody that loves you, right? But the truth is we're not that important at the macro level. The micro level, to your family, maybe to the few people in the community, you know, of course you're important. But to the majority of the world, don't even know you exist. They don't even know you were born. They don't know that you tripped and fell on your face yesterday. They don't know if you slammed your finger in the door. They don't know and they don't care. That's the crazy part. So for a long period of my life, I wanted to do so many things and chose not to do them because I feared exposure or what somebody's critique would be on me. How absolutely asinine is that? Let's just be real. How absolutely asinine is that to hold ourselves back from doing something because we think somebody else might care? And now I know I'm not the only one. This holds a lot of people, trust me, this holds a lot of people back from going after their dreams, from trying to accomplish it may even be your own mother or father or sister or brother or whatever, or uncle or aunt or neighbor. You may be so worried about what they think, and the reason I know people worry about that, you hear a lot of people say, I don't care what anybody thinks. Those are usually the ones that care the most. Just saying, because that's what I used to say. Today's different. I really don't. That's why I'm taking action towards my dreams. But I used to seriously care, and so does a lot of others that say that. And it's so broad, it's everywhere. And this is exactly what holds people back from doing what they actually want to do in life. And I'm all for people finding what they actually, I don't care if you want to be the best babysitter in the world. I don't care if you want to be the best blanket knitter there is in history. I don't care what your dreams, visions, aspirations, I don't care what they are. It doesn't matter as long as they're, have some morals and shit. Like, there's some crazy, let's not get off that. But I don't care what they are. The truth is, the first thing most people do is they go seek validation from their family, from their friends, from their brother, from their sister, from their mother, from their father, from their neighbor, from their coworkers, you know why? Because I did the same thing before I took action in my very first business. What do you think I did? I went to the job I was working at, I cut grass, right? We cut grass, and I loved that job, and I loved my boss, and I loved my crew, right? But I cut grass across the Tri-Cities, all the cemeteries. We had teams, we cut grass everywhere. And the very first thing I did when I had this idea, I studied it for a couple days before I said anything, right? When somebody gave me an idea, actually, I didn't have the idea. I said, hey, that's something I could probably do. I went to work shortly thereafter and looked for validation from all my coworkers. Hey, dude, I'm going to start becoming a reseller, and I'm going to do it enough where I can walk away from my 9 to 5. Do you know what they all did to me? Dude, I was the laughing stock of lunch break. Let's just put it that way. They all gave it to me every way from Sunday, and I don't blame them, right? Because I've never done anything outside of the ordinary for them to believe that I actually could achieve something like that, right? So that's why I know most people go seek validation, because I'm not the only one. And a lot of people will do that. They'll even bring it home to their mom or their sister or their aunt or their whatever. And they'll bring home this dream and vision, and their family or their siblings or their co-workers or their friends or whatever it is will shoot them down. And they'll believe that shit. So I got roasted at work. They roasted me. Dude, you'll just stay here. There's more opportunity here at this job than you could ever make becoming a reseller. And what that did, I needed to hear that. What that did is it actually pissed me off that that's all they thought of me, right? So I used that negative energy, I took that home, and I began my little journey of reselling with a $20 bill. A couple years later, it was in the 6-figure margin rate, but it's not about where it went to. But what it was about was taking that negative energy they gave me when I was seeking validation and using that for motivation to drive me even harder. And because it drove me even harder, within 6 months, I was able to walk off my 9-to-5 because my so-called side hustle tripled the income I was making at my 9-to-5 for 6 consecutive months. And because it did it for 6 consecutive months, I knew if I took the 30-some, almost 40 hours a week away from my 9-to-5 and applied that to the reselling thing, I could quadruple my income. And that is exactly what I did, and that's exactly how it happened. But what my main point is, everything that held me back was my fear of exposure. And I felt like all my life I needed validation from outside sources. First of all, everybody I was asking if this dream would be possible for me, or now I don't resell today. Obviously, you guys know what I do, but I don't. That was business number 2 actually, but 1 failed, 2 I gave up on, and this one's working out. But I always looked for validation, and if I would have took what they said to me at lunch and never continued to apply myself, I'd have never been able to walk out of the 9-to-5 that I did and wind up where I am today. And what I'm trying to get at is I used my insecurities in people outside of me that are not even chasing their dreams. I allowed them and their lack of validating my idea to discourage me from taking action. What I'm trying to get you to see is most of the people we're seeking validation from about a dream or an idea isn't even chasing their own dreams or ideas. So why the hell do you think they're going to validate your dream or idea? If an individual isn't chasing a dream or an idea of their own, there is no way they're going to believe that you can attain or accomplish your dreams or ideas. As I said, most people don't want to see you succeed past them. I've said it many a times before, and that is unfortunate, but it's the very truth. I've seen it, lived it. It's facts. It's unfortunate facts, but it is facts. There's very few people out here that you will ever meet that want you to succeed just as much as them or beyond them. By saying that, I allowed my insecurities and I allowed my fear of exposure to the world that really don't think of me that much. Nobody's thinking of me that much. I'm telling you that right now. I allowed that to detour me away from taking action. So if you've ever heard the terminology, we are our own worst enemy when they're talking about your own life, it is very true. It's not the person you seek validation from and they told you there's no way that couldn't happen for you. It's you. It's me. We are our own worst enemy, because here's the thing is, you don't need validation. You don't need to tell anybody. Now, if you got a spouse or a significant other and it's about to change your entire trajectory of what your day looks like, you might want to communicate that with them, as I did with Patty. I said, hey, babe, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. She says, so be it. Go at it. So I began to do that. It wasn't just an ass to her, but you don't need validation from people. And truthfully, if you make a mistake today while you're trying to chase your dreams, nobody's going to remember it tomorrow. It doesn't matter. And if you think you're going to get into chasing your dreams or your aspirations or your purpose or whatever it is without any failures, you're wrongfully mistaken. The failures you should be wanting. And I know that sounds absolutely bananas, but you want the failures. Without the failures, you can't grow. You got to get the failures out of your way. I still make failures on a daily basis today. And I ain't over here some success guru that you should be taking any type of business information. I'm not giving out business information. I'm giving out the reality in life is most people are not focusing on you. I know we want to think everybody's focusing on us. And if we make a mistake, they're going to judge us. Nobody really gives a shit. Nobody really cares. They might get a laugh for 2 minutes, and tomorrow, the next day, they will not even remember it happened. Why? Because they have a life of their own. So sometimes, I don't know why we're so selfish to where we think everybody in the world will see our mistakes and ridicule us and do this and do that and do. They're not going to remember it in 5 minutes. Do you see the amount of distractions going on social media right now? You know how many people forgot about something that's happened 6 months that was tragic? Do you really think you're as important as that individual? We're not. People are not going to remember your failures and mistakes. What they're going to remember is whether you did it or you didn't. I love you guys all. Have a blessed day. And do not let the fear of exposure, failure, don't seek validation from loved ones to pursue your dreams and visions. Just go after them and never look back. I love you all. Have a blessed day.